And now tensions in the Middle East have deepened once again after Israeli forces intercepted the Global Sumud Flotilla, a convoy of ships attempting to break the blockade of Gaza and deliver humanitarian aid. Reports confirm that at least 39 vessels were stopped and dozens of crew members detained. Human rights groups are calling for the interception unlawful, saying it reflects Israel's determination to enforce what they describe as a policy of deliberately starving Palestinians in Gaza. We're now joined on the line by Amnesty International South Africa's Executive Director, Shenilla Mohamed. Shenilla, a very good evening to you and welcome to Channel Africa.
Evening, Innocent, and good evening to your viewers and listeners.
Yeah, indeed. Amnesty has described Israel's blockade of Gaza as unlawful. What does the interception of the Global Sumud Flotilla tell us about Israel's determination to really enforce that blockade?
Well, Innocent, as you know, that this blockade has been going on for almost 2 decades. And, now with the genocide that Israel is carrying out against the Palestinians, it's worsened considerably to the extent where any humanitarian organization that was in the past operating within Gaza or the occupied territories is no longer there because Israel has been killing, bombing. I mean, even humanitarian workers have not been safe from the brutal attacks by Israel. So this flotilla and the mere fact that these flotillas continue to try to bring about, to go on these peaceful humanitarian missions to bring food, water, all the basic human rights necessities that the people need is an indication of just how dire the situation is in Gaza. And I think that, Israel's forceful interception of the flotilla, and this is not the first time that they've done this, really is a brazen assault on these solidarity activists who are all they're trying to do is carry out a peaceful humanitarian mission and try to bring an end to the crimes against humanity of using starvation and famine as a way to destroy the people of Palestine.
Yeah, and Shenilla, critics argue that the flotilla was delivering humanitarian aid, yet Israel treated it as a threat. In your view, from a human rights perspective, what obligations does Israel have under the international law in such situations?
Well, first of all, Vincent, Israel, since the flotillas, since the boats in this flotilla started off, Israel has been continuously threatening and inciting, violence. We have seen drones over the boats. So they have continued to threaten the people on these flotillas. And remember that these boats are in international waters. So already Israel was in violation of the maritime international law, where they cannot prevent, these boats from being in international waters because they have no rights over those waters. And then secondly, I think that, by continuing to actively block this vital aid to a population against whom they themselves are committing genocide and inflicting famine, they are once again demonstrating that they have absolutely no respect and that they're totally in contempt of any legally binding orders of the International Court of Justice. You will remember, Innocent, that just a few months ago, the International Court of Justice actually instructed Israel to lift the blockade and allow humanitarian assistance in. So they are in violation of the International Court of Justice, and actually they are in violation of international law because as an occupying power under international law, it is their responsibility to ensure that Palestinians in Gaza have access to sufficient food and life-saving humanitarian assistance. So every possible humanitarian and international law that is out there, Israel is violating.
Yeah, and can you comfortably say that this interception is an act of collective punishment against Palestinians. Is that where you're coming from?
Well, for a while now, Israel has been using famine and starvation against the Palestinians, in addition to bombing them, in addition to sniper bullets, in addition to all the other brutalities that fall under the crime of genocide. So yes, I mean, obviously Israel is determined to annihilate the Palestinian people. So, whether it's through starvation, whether it is through genocide, whether it's through, just blocking any form of medical or humanitarian assistance. I mean, Israel has bombed every hospital in Gaza, and yet they are continuing to kill and to maim people. There are no doctors. There is nothing available to the people of Gaza. So yes, I mean, you can call it a punishment, or you can actually call it genocide and crimes against humanity. I mean, they are basically intend to punish the people of Gaza, and they intend to wipe out the people of Gaza, and this is exactly what they are doing.
Yeah, and I know that South Africa took Israel to the ICJ, but in your view, Shenilla, what mechanisms exist to hold Israel accountable for what Amnesty calls, what you are calling unlawful actions? And why have they largely failed up to now? I mean, it does seem as though it's really difficult to win against them.
It's Innocent. I think the worst thing ever that we have seen in our lifetime is the is this global, so we have to remember that this is 2 years in the making, and prior to that as well, we have seen massive rights violations against Palestinians. But I mean, this intensity against the Palestinians started 2 years ago after October the 7th. And I think that, the mere fact that it's taken the global leaders or the world 2 years to even acknowledge that a genocide is taking place is really an indictment on the horrific leadership that we have in the world today. And I think that, when you ask why have we failed, well, Israel is being propped up by some of the most powerful countries in the world. We've seen many countries in the European Union. We have seen the United Kingdom. We have seen, Donald Trump, and prior to him, the United States. It's not just about Donald Trump. America has always been sort of supporting and propping up Israel. So the failure, it's a huge failure on the part of global leaders. And I think South Africa taking the case to the court actually shows South Africa's leadership, but it's a long process, Innocent. And I think what's happening is that many organizations like ours have been on the ground, have been gathering this evidence, and this evidence will eventually come before the International Criminal Court. But unfortunately, and by the time that happens, we will see more and more suffering, more and more murders, more and more killings, starvation, famine. Already over 65,000 Palestinians have died. And, we are not going to see justice anytime soon, but it's all we have, Innocent. It's all we have. We have to keep on pushing until justice is served. And we're seeing momentum globally, even now as I speak, because of the flotilla all over the world. There are people out in the streets. So, the people of the world have got to really hold their leaders to account. And I see that happening more and more and more. Unfortunately, it's coming at the cost of massive lives lost in the occupied territories and in Gaza.
And I would imagine that, as allies, as friends, we need to call each other out. It does seem as though America and Israel, they're failing to do that in terms of peer review mechanism of some sort, to say that, but what you're doing is not in line with human rights. But then my next question, Shenilla, is how important is international solidarity, like the flotilla movement, in really challenging the blockade when governments themselves appear unwilling to basically act, for a want of a better term?
Well, I think, initiatives like the flotilla are extremely important in that, they are initiatives that have attempted to break Israel's unlawful blockade. They have emerged as powerful symbols of solidarity with the besieged, starved, and suffering Palestinians in the Gaza Strip. And, imagine yourself there in Gaza. I mean, the saddest thing I saw recently was, children who are waiting there in Gaza for the flotillas. It gives those people a little flicker of hope that there are people out there who actually care. There are people out there who are still fighting for them. And I think in that sense, it really is very, very important. But I also think it's a very important message to send to the world leaders that are complicit in this genocide, that are either sitting on the fence, that are not taking positions. And again, it's not just about innocent peer review or calling each other out. We are talking here about countries that are arming Israel. We are talking about countries that are giving Israel all the firepower, the resources, the money they need to carry out a genocide and crimes against humanity. So this is not just about, calling it out. I mean, this is about giving them the resources they need. And so therefore, countries like the United States, countries like the United Kingdom, Germany, all the other countries that have been providing Israel with these arms and with the resources, they are complicit in a genocide. And I think that it's gone way beyond just a peer review. Now, those that are complicit have also got to be dragged before the International Criminal Court, and we need to see that justice. And the power lies in the hands of the people. More and more people need to take to the streets. More and more people need to come out and say to their leaders, we will not sit back and be part of a genocide. We will not allow you to do this in our name.
Shenilla Mohamed, thank you so much for making the time, and your work is really commendable, and continue to do what you're doing.
Thank you, Innocent.
All right, there you have it. That was South Africa's Executive Director of Amnesty International, Shenilla Mohamed, really talking to us about the flotilla that is captured in that part of the world.